Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Jai Shri Ram. Welcome to the next episode in our complete reading of Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. In the previous episode, we saw Shivadhanurabhanga happening and we also got to understand the reasons why Jankamaharaja said that he would give his daughter's hand to the man who handles Shivadhanush. Okay, and now Sri Ramachandra lifted the Shivadhanush, it broke, Omkara came out of it, and Janaka Maharaja is extremely happy. He said, I'll give my daughter to you, take her. And then Sri Ramachandra said, no, that's not my job. It's my father's job to decide who should be my wife. That's Sanatana Dharma, right? That's Sanatana Dharma Sanskriti, right? Because it's always the father-in-law's responsibility, or it's always the father's responsibility to get his son married and to get a good girl as a wife to his son. Many people might disagree with this, but what is important is by that age, a father would know what sort of behavior his son has and what sort of girl can really keep his son happy. Of course, we have got a number of movies where love is put up on the higher pedestal and all. That's what happens in almost all of the movies. But no, our dharma says, our Sanskriti says, please stay away from it, don't decide on it, let the father decide it. That's what Srimad Ramayana is teaching to all of us. Because marriage in Sanatana Dharma, marriage in Arsha Dharma is to extend the lineage, is to ensure that the home is extremely filled with happiness, is to ensure that the Kuladevata worship continues in the home. It's to ensure that the Pitru Karmas are done at the home. And for all this, there are certain qualities that are needed from a girl who walks into that family, and that can be decided only by the boy's father. At the same time, what sort of boy or what sort of a person can keep his daughter happy is something the girl's father knows well, and the decision to pick up a person as his daughter's husband solely lies again with the girl's father. Don't ask me a question, oh, what is happening to the girl's mother and boy's mother? When I say the responsibility lies with the father, that essentially means that the father is going to sit in consultation with the mother, and they both are going to take one decision. Because in Sanatana Dharma, once you get married, the decision of husband and wife is one decision. Okay, when we say the husband is taking the call, it essentially means that he is completely consulting with the wife, and only when the wife is fine, he's taking that call. Okay, that's just an explanation that I wanted to give. Now we'll move on. Janaka Maharaja called his ministers and he told them, take the best of the horses and rush to Dasaratha's place and inform him that Sri Ramachandra was able to lift the Shivadhanush and he won Sitama in Swayamvara. When I say Swayamvara, no, this is not a Swayamvara where all the men are sitting, the girl is going to choose. No, it essentially means that there was a condition that was set, and the person who wins that would obviously get the girl. So, in that particular examination, Sri Ramachandra passed with flying colors. Okay, that's the meaning of it. So, these ministers went in the fastest route and apprised Dasharatha about what has happened in Mithila, and they invited Dasaratha Maharaja along with his entire family, along with his entire army to come to Mithila and bless the marriage. Dasaratha Maharaja was extremely happy, and then he asked the ministers to take some rest and immediately called for the grand sabha. And in that, he looked at his Samanta kings, I mean kings who are beneath him, or the sub, or what do you say, the satraps who are under him. Okay, and he invited the prominent people, the rishis, munis, everyone, and then he said, see, Sri Rama is my eldest son, and this is the news I have from Mithila. They say that he broke that great vow of Shiva, and now he is supposed to marry Sita. And since Sita is going to be the Patta Mahishi when Sri Rama is going to take over as the king, I want your opinion if we can go ahead with this marriage or not. Now see the Rajadharma that Sanatana Dharma is teaching us. A king is allowed to marry multiple people, but the person who is going to be along with him, sitting along with him on the Simhasana, the person who is going to get the Rajyabhishek done, that lady is not something that the king alone decides. It's decided by the Grand Assembly, because if that lady comes from an enemy kingdom, or if she has some ulterior motives, this entire kingdom might just get wiped off from the face of the earth. Hence, it's always a collective decision. They put all the pros and cons, they weigh it, and then they arrive at a decision. But in this case, the moment all these scholars, the commanders, the satraps, when all of these people are the vassal kings, when they all, the Samantarajas are called as vassal kings, right? When all these people heard about this, all of them said, oh, if Sri Ramachandra is going to marry Janaka's daughter, then that's the best thing that would ever happen to our Ikshvaku Vamsa. So let us go ahead with the marriage. When all of them accepted, Dasaratha Maharaja said, okay, tomorrow morning we are going to start to Mithila. And then along with the army, along with the Chaturanga Balas, they all started. They went there and they arrived in Mithila. And once they arrived in Mithila, it was a long journey, it took a number of days. They arrived in Mithila, and once they arrived in Mithila, Janaka Maharaja came. He gave Arghya, Padya to Dasharatha and said, we are blessed. We both are becoming relatives now. I'm so happy to have you here. But please understand, I have a little constraint here. I have already invited my brother. Okay, I think his name is Kushadhwaja. He is also coming here. And once we both are here, we would need at least 3 to 4 days for us to get to marriage. And we need that time because there is a yajna that is happening. Once this yajna is over, we'll start with the marriage. And here there is a wonderful shloka that Dasharatha says. And he says, Pratigrahot Atruvasaha Shrutametan Mayapura Yadha Vakshasi Dharmagya Tatkarishyamahe Vayam. He says, oh great man, you are the person who is giving. You are giving your daughter. So your hand is on the higher side. I am the person who is taking. I can't choose. Since you are giving, you are in control of this entire marriage. So whenever you would give your daughter, that's the day that I would take her for my son. So hey, Janaka Maharaja, forget, don't keep any problems in your mind. We are going to be relatives and you are the person who is going to give the daughter. So it's your control. See how wonderful this is, right? And the next morning, both the kings came and then they said, we should be talking about our families respectively. See, this is another important custom here where they discuss about both sides' families, because when they are discussing that, both the families would get to know about the ancestors of both the sides, and when they discuss the great things that were done by the ancestors on both the sides, they would know into what families they are getting. And as we say in Sanatana Dharma, marriages happen between families, not between individuals. And once those two families meet, once those two families become one, the bride and groom who listen to this, they would feel, they would know the importance of the people who are coming into their lives, and those lives will be wonderful. So here Vasishtha Maharshi starts off with the family details of Sri Ramachandra, and he says, from the Avyakta Brahma, the Chaturmukha Brahma came, and to Brahma Marichi came, to Marichi Kasyapa. I mean, when I say came, they are sons, okay? So Brahma's son Marichi, Marichi's son Kasyapa, Kasyapa's son Surya, he is also called as Vivaswanta. To Surya, Manu, Vaivaswata Manu was born. To Manu, Ikshvaku was born. Ikshvaku was the first king of Ayodhya. And to Ikshvaku, there were sons Kukshi. To Kukshi, Vikukshi was born. Vikukshi's son was Bana. Bana's son was Anaranya. Anaranya's son was Prudhu. Prudhu's son is Trishanku. We just read about Trishanku, right? We just heard about Trishanku like 2-3 episodes ago, right? To Trishanku, Dundumara, Dundumara's son was Yavanashva, Yavanashva's son was Mandhat, Mandhata's son was Susandhi. Susandhi had two sons, Prasenajit and Dhruvasandhi, and Prasenajit's son was Bharata, Bharata's son was Asita, and this Asita was defeated by Hehaya, Talajanga, and Shashibindu, these families. So from here he moved to Bhrugusravana. Okay, and from there he lived with his wife for some time. And one of those wives got pregnant, the other did not. And the other wife who did not get pregnant, she poisoned the other wife who was pregnant. And then Chavana Maharshi came and he realized what has happened there. And then he said, even if poison has entered your body, I am blessing you. So look at the power of Maharshis. He said, I am blessing you. You will have a son and he will not be dead. He'll be born with poison inside him. So the person who was born with poison inside him, he was Sagara. We heard Sagara's story, and I'm sure you'll all be remembering now. Sagara had two wives. From one wife, he had Asamanjasa. From the other, he had 60,000 children who went on to create Sagara. Okay. Asamanjasa's son was Amshumanta. Amshumanta's son was Dilipa. Dilipa's son is Bhagiratha. Bhagirath's son is Kakustha. Kakusta's son is Raghu. Raghu's son is Pravruddha. Okay, and Pravruddha, he swayed away from the path of Dharma. Vasishtha Maharshi asked him to become a Narabhakshaka, and then he also wanted to come back and give a curse to Vasishtha Maharshi, but then his wife came and said, you should not be cursing our Purohita, our Guru. So he threw that water onto his feet again. So from there his name became Kalmashapada, okay, because he threw that water onto his feet. Kalmashpada's son was Senkhana. Senkhana's son is Sudarshana. Sudarshana's son is Agnivarna. Agnivarna's son is Sighraga. Okay, Sighraga, his son is Maruta. Maruta's son is Presru Sukra, and his son is Ambarisha. And Ambarisha's son is Nahusha. Nahusha's son is Jayati. Jayati's son is Nabhaga. Nabhaga's son is Aja. Aja's son is Dasaratha. Dasaratha's sons are Sri Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna. So I'll quickly give just the vamsavali, so that you can just clip this or probably remember this if you are interested in all this stuff. Okay, I'm just giving those names in one go. So Ikshvaku Vamsa. So Swayambhu Brahma. Swayambhu Brahma, Marichi, Kasyapa, Vivasvanta, Vaivasvata, Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku is the first king of Ayodhya. Kukshi, Vikukshi, Bana, Anaranya, Prudhu, Trishanku, Dundumara, Yavanashva, Mandhata, Susandhi. Sandhi sons are Prasenajit and Dhruvasandhi. Prasenajit's son is Bharata. Bharata's son Asita, Sagara, Asamanjasa, Amshumanta, Dilipa, Bhagiratha, Kakutstha, Raghu, Pravruddha. Pravruddha is also called as Kalmashapada. Shenkhana, Sudarshana, Agnivarna, Sigraguru, Maru, Prasusruka, Ambarisha, Nahusha, Yayati, Nabhaga, Aja, Dasaratha, and then Sri Rama, Lakshmana, Bharat, Shatrugna. Jankamaharaja was extremely happy. Okay, you have come from Lord Brahmaji himself. This Vamsha has come from there. And then they were so happy. And then there are two Brahmarshis, Vasishtha and Vishwamitra, and my daughter is getting wedded. I mean, look at the happiness that the father would have got, looking at the family into which his daughter was going. See, what gives the maximum amount of happiness that a father can get is when he realizes that his daughter is getting into a great family, right? And then Janaka Maharaja looked, and then in Telugu marriages there is this thing called Tota Sambaram. Okay, here they do all this stuff, but now it has reduced to where people just exchange clothes and all. But even now there are some people who actually introduce all their relatives and talk about their family history. That's a good practice, and I wish that practice goes now. Immediately the other Purohita, I think Shatananda, right? He started off saying that, and now some people say, in fact, Janaka himself was so happy that he started off telling about his own Vamsha. So let us assume Janaka himself is saying this. He says the first person here is Nimi. Nimi was the first person. From there, the entire Vamsha starts, or this entire family starts. And when he is dying, he requested Devatas for a boon, and that he says, as long as I was alive, I saved people of my country. Okay, now from once I die, I still want to save them. So if there is something bad that's going to happen to the people, give me a boon that I would cover their eyes whenever there is some trouble that's coming. That's why they say the eyelids became because of him only. So that's why anyone, whenever we close our eyes and open once, that's called as Nimesha. And for Devatas and all, the eyelids won't close. They are called as Animeshas. For all humans, we are called as Nimeshas. Okay. So Nimi's son is Mithi, or he built the Mithila Nagara, and then the first Janaka came, and on his name only the Vamsha or this entire family is called as Janaka Vamsha. And then every person who came later as a king, they all called themselves as Janakas. The first Janaka had a son called Udavasu. Udavasu's son was Nandivardhana. Nandivardhana's son is Suketa. Suketa's son is Devaratha. And to Devaratha, the Shivadhanush was given, and his son is Bruhadratha. His son is Shura, Mahavira, and to Mahavira Sudruti. Sudruti's son is Drishtaketa. Drishtaketa's son is Haryasva. Haryasva's son is Maru. Maru's son is Pritindhaka. Pritindhaka's son is Kirtiratha. Kirtiratha's son is Devamidha. Devamidha's son is Vibudha. Vibhuda's son is Mahidhraka. Mahidhraka's son is Kirtiratha. Kirtiratha's son is Maharoma. Maharoma's son is Swarnaroma. Swarnaroma's son is Hrasvaroma. And Hrasvaroma had two sons. First son is Janaka. Second son is Kushadhvaja. So I am just giving the lineage once again. Nimi's son is Mithi, then first Janaka, Udavasu, Dandivardhana, Suketu, Devaratha, Bruhadratha. He had two sons, Sura and Mahavira. Mahavira's son is Sudruti, Drishtaketa, Haryasva, Maru, Pritandhaka, Kirtiratha, Devamidha, Vibhudha, Mahidhrika, Kirtiratha, Maharoma, Swarnaroma, Haswaroma, and Niradhvaja. So Niradhvaja is the father of Sitama. He is also called as Janaka. Okay, now from here they would move to marriage. That we would cover in our next episode. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Sarvam Sri SriSitaramakalynam Swami Charanarvinda Arpanamastu. Swasti. Om.